back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and today we have another video. This time we are previewing the match where Manchester City return to Premier League action when we welcome Crystal Palace to the Etihad Stadium on Saturday, fresh from our midweek Champions League victory in Belgrade. Before we get going, make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Dugout Daily, the football channel, hit the Apex the F1 channel, and at MCFC Hibs on Twitter. We will get going then, and while the citizens find ourselves sitting fourth in the top flight standings, the Eagles are languishing in 15th and are beginning to look over their shoulders following a poor run of form. After ending our four-game winless run in the Premier League with a 2-1 win at Luton last weekend, Manchester City preserved our 100% record in this season's Champions League when a much-changed side beat Red Star Belgrade 3-2 in our final Group G fixture on Wednesday. Academy graduates Mika Hamilton and Oscar Bobb celebrated scoring their first senior goals for the citizens, the former of whom found the net just 19 minutes into his full debut, while Calvin Phillips was handed a rare start and scored his first goal for the club from the penalty spot 5 minutes from time, either side of Red Star strikes from Hwangin Biom and Alexander Katai. Pep Guardiola's men have sailed through to the last 16 and completed the group stage with a perfect 6 wins from 6, breaking a Champions League record in the process following our win in Serbia. And we now shift our focus back to the Premier League before jetting off to Saudi Arabia next week for the Club World Cup. Manchester City's recent wobble in the Premier League has allowed Liverpool, Arsenal and surprise package Aston Villa to climb above the reigning champions in the table, with Guardiola's side now sitting 4 points adrift of the former at the summit after 16 games. The citizens still have plenty of time to turn their fortunes around though, and we will be confident of success on Saturday as we're unbeaten in our last 18 top-flight games at the Etihad, while we've only lost 2 of our previous 16 league meetings with Crystal Palace, although both defeats during this run took place on home soil. Crystal Palace appeared to be on course to claim a surprise win over Liverpool and provide Manchester City with a boost in our title pursuit, as they were leading 1-0 against the Reds heading into the final 15 minutes of last weekend's encounter at Selhurst Park. However, the 75th minute dismissal of Jordan Ayew ultimately proved costly, as the Eagles conceded twice in the closing stages to lose 2-1, with Mohamed Salah's equaliser netted just a minute after Ayew's red card, followed by a 91st minute winner from Harvey Elliott, condemning the hosts to their 8th league defeat of the season. The pressure's beginning to mount on manager Roy Hodgson, who has seen his side pick up just 5 points from a possible 45 available over the last 2.5 months, but Palace is still 7 points clear of the relegation zone and know that one win could see them climb to as high as 11th. Considering that Saturday's clash at Manchester City is followed by tricky top-flight encounters with Brighton and Hove Albion, Chelsea, Brentford and Arsenal, it's difficult to see Palace fans celebrating much success during the festive period, but the Eagles have history when it comes to pulling off upsets, and they have reason to be optimistic heading to the Etihad. Indeed, only Manchester United with 3 have won more Premier League games at Manchester City than Palace with 2 since Guardiola's arrival at the Etihad in 2016. The Eagles have scored 4 goals in their last 2 visits, with a 2-0 win in October 2021, followed by a 4-2 loss in August last year, a game in which they let a 2-goal lead slip in the second half. So the form of both sides, starting with Manchester City in our last 6 Premier League games, we've had a win, 3 draws, a loss and a win. Crystal Palace's form in their last 6 Premier League games is a win, 2 losses, a draw and another 2 losses. Manchester City's form in our last 6 in all competitions is a draw, a win, a draw, a loss, a win and a win. Manchester City's Erling Haaland with a foot injury and Jeremy Doku with a muscle injury are both major injury doubts for this weekend, with Guardiola stating on Friday that he doesn't expect the former to play against Palace. The duo are more likely to return for the Club World Cup next week, while Kevin De Bruyne remains sidelined with a hamstring injury. After making 9 changes to his side for the midweek win over Red Star, Guardiola is expected to recall several of his first-team regulars against Palace, with keeper Ederson and defensive quartet Kyle Walker, Ruben Dias, Nathan Ake and Josko Vardiol all pushing to return at the back. Rodri is expected to take Phillips' place in midfield, while Mateo Kovacic will hope to keep his starting spot in the engine room ahead of John Stones, Manuel Akanji and Rico Lewis, who all began in defence against Red Star. Jack Grealish should shake off a knock sustained in midweek to start on the left, while Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva and Julian Alvarez are all set to return in the final third. As for Crystal Palace, Sam Johnston with a calf injury, Jefferson Lerma with a hamstring injury, and Odsonne Edouard with a knee injury all picked up injuries against Liverpool last weekend and will join Czech Decore with an Achilles injury, Eberechi Eze and Rob Holding both with ankle injuries, Jesurun Raksaki and Dean Henderson both with thigh injuries in the treatment room, the latter of whom is closing in on a return now after taking part in training this week. Jordan Ayew suspended following his red card last weekend, but Hodgson has confirmed that Tyreek Mitchell's okay and back in contention to play following a spell out with a hip injury, so he could replace Nathaniel Klein at left back and join Mark Gahey, Joachim Anderson and Joel Ward in the back four that's set to protect Remy Matthews in goal. Michael Elise should be fit to start on the right, while Jean-Philippe Mateta, who scored from the penalty spot against Liverpool, is set to lead the line in the absence of Edouard. So the predicted teams then, starting with Manchester City, I've gone with Ederson in goal, Walker, Stones, Diaz and Ake as a back four, with Kovacic and Rodri in midfield, Foden, Bernardo and Grealish behind Alvarez in attack. And the predicted team for Crystal Palace is Matthews in goal, Ward, Gahey, Anderson and Mitchell as a back four, with Richards, Ahamada and Hughes in midfield, Elise, Mateta and Schlupp in attack. Crystal Palace have frustrated Manchester City in the past and have already won in Manchester this season, beating Manchester United 1-0 in September, but it seems a tall order for Hodgson's out of form and depleted squad to pull off another upset on Saturday. Manchester City may not be at full strength ourselves, but have coped without Haaland and Doku in our last 2 games, and Guardiola can rely on a number of his first-team stars who were rested in midweek to fire the champions to victory on home soil. So I predict this game will finish Manchester City 2, Crystal Palace 1. So that is it for this video then. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Dugout Daily, the football channel. Hit the Apex CF1 channel and at MCFC Hibs on Twitter. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care.